I hated Resident Evil when I was a kid. Now, yes, the zombies scaring me to the point of turning off my PlayStation was a factor, but not my main frustration. Resident Evil and I have a funny past. On one hand, the idea of being trapped in a zombie infested mansion with puzzles and survival mechanics seems fun, but my problem is due to the time it was created in. 3D gaming was fairly new at the time, and the industry was still trying to iron out the edges of moving in a three-dimensional space. Nintendo was ahead of the curve with the N64 by adding an analog stick, but the N64 wasn't the leading platform of the time. It was the newcomer Sony and nameless PlayStation 1 controller. With the lack of a thumbstick, Capcom had no choice but to use a D-pad, which meant tank controls. I hate tank controls with a passion. The only time tank controls actually feel right to me is when I'm in an actual tank. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a few games that incorporate tank controls in a way that's enjoyable. Earlier this year, I played the original 3 Tomb Raider games with tank controls, and I grew to like them over time. The original Resident Evil 4 had tank controls as well, and people like me who normally don't like them, we actually didn't mind it in that game. So why do I hate tank controls in Resident Evil 1? Well, the funny part is, I couldn't really answer that question myself. Have you ever felt something but couldn't pinpoint the exact reason why you felt the way you did? That's how I am with tank controls in Resident Evil. Until now. In preparation for Resident Evil 9, I wanted to finally beat Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3. Now, I beat 1 a few years back, but it was only with Chris, and I don't really remember most of that experience anyway. I never beat 2, and I actually never even played Resident Evil 3. So when I began playing Resident Evil 1 again for an upcoming review I'm making, I was smacked in the face with the exact reason why I don't like this game. Movement is slow and clunky, which makes sense because tanks are slow and clunky. There's a disconnect when a human being moves this way, and what also doesn't help is the world I'm in. See, Tomb Raider has big, wide open spaces, giving me tons of trial and error when it comes to getting used to the controls. Resident Evil has a few open areas, but most locations with zombies are tight hallways with little to no room. Resident Evil being a survival game means health and ammo is scarce, so you can't just blast your problems away. You gotta master the movement system to avoid enemies, and if you don't, you'll end up getting pissed off like me. So how did I end up getting the hang of the controls? First, it's important to explain that all of my issues were my own. Kinda. Resident Evil is known for its pre-rendered backgrounds and dynamic camera angles that shift as you move about each room. These camera shifts, in combination with my lack of understanding tank controls, is why I've been having such a hard time. Tank controls work like this. Up is forward, down is backwards, and left and right rotate the player in that direction. When I would move around, everything would be fine. Clunky, but fine. Then the camera would shift, and it would throw me off. And don't let me panic because a zombie is coming my way. I'm as good as dead then. But after dying repeatedly, getting bit when I thought I was moving away from a zombie, only to be pressing the wrong button and actually walking into the zombie, I sat back to fully understand what was going on. And then it hit me. Forward is not relative to the camera. It's relative to the character itself. I know some of you Resident Evil experts are probably laughing at me right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if other gamers thought the way I did and have been hating on tank control games for the wrong reasons. Plus, it's always new gamers getting into old games like Resident Evil, so a video like this may be helpful. Most games, the direction you press is the direction you go in. Tank controls don't care about camera shifts, which if you think they do, you might change what button you are pressing to coincide with the new camera angle, like I did. If you remember that movement is relative to the character, you won't be thrown off by the zombies or an abrupt change of view. Once I got the hang of it a bit, I wasn't making as many mistakes as I was before, but now I learned how to use movement as a weapon. I learned how to position myself just right, so when the zombie begins to follow me, I can juke out of the way. I also learned how to consistently hug walls, And I even made up this thing that I call the zombie shuffle by tapping forward. The zombies don't seem to aggro me, so I would kind of like nudge my way forward. And right when I think they're going to aggro, I juke out the way again. It's almost been 30 years since Resident Evil came out, and I'm just now getting the hang of it. It's better late than never, but it just goes to show how getting older and looking at things from a different perspective can help you appreciate things you once didn't. Now, as far as the clunkiness goes, yeah, that's just how the game is made. You can't really do much about that. But it is nice to say that I am enjoying Resident Evil probably for the first time ever. And I can't wait to finish the game to finally do a video review on it. And I hope this video helps anyone that struggled with tank controls or playing Resident Evil before. And maybe you should give the game another chance like I have.